Which ROBTOP demon is the hardest? So how are these rankings going to work? Well, first of all, I'm going to talk about the consistency. How consistently hard is the level? Is it consistently difficult, or are there some really easy parts? Second of all, I'm going to talk about the hardest moments, including choke points, although hardest moments could be maybe the beginning wave in Deadlocked. Who knows, maybe I'll add that in the Deadlock section. Next up is going to be learning curves. Maybe there's some UFO patterns, or maybe there's some new game modes that you might not be used to when this level comes up. And then last of all, the coins. I'm leaving the coins until last because they're meant to be difficult. Now, the marking criteria for these three demons as of making this video, they're great and all, but they have no value. So in today's video, we're just going to do a simple 1 through 10 scale. So if I think the coins are super hard, they get a 10. And if I think that they're super easy, self-explanatory, they get a 0. Clubstep's beginning is on the same level as an insane intro, right? This doesn't look like a demon. I mean, what, there's like 3 to 4 orb fakes that you could press, but I'm assuming that you're going to be using practice modes. That's not difficult, right? And then for this invisible block section, I don't think that this is that hard, right? Is this an agreement that we can come towards? Now, when it comes to the ship section, if you're playing ROBTOP's levels in order, you could struggle here. You really could. It's memorization. I'm here playing Clubstep, and yeah, it's easy for me, right? Well, obviously, because it's memorized. I've memorized this section. This part here honestly reminds me of the intro. What, there's like 2 orbs that you shouldn't press? Come on now, this is easy. This is meant to be a demon. Right now, this is easy. The ball section meets the criteria when it comes to memorization. There's a bunch of fakes here, and you're definitely going to need to be practicing this. The UFO section is what we were discussing earlier as well, with UFO timings. It's pretty easy stuff. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1. Pretty easy. This ship section here, not that bad, especially if you've played electrodynamics. And then once again, we have an orb section similar to the intro. If you suck at upside down sections, you are going to have to practice this part religiously. There's no question about it. The mini UFO, you're going to have to dodge invisible spikes, but that's not it. Now, this mini ship part is difficult. Not only are you the mini, but you also have to make precise movements around these invisible spikes. That's not just it. In the exact same motion, you get put in this electrodynamics looking section where you have to go upside down, normal gravity, upside down, and then normal gravity constantly. So you need to get used to that. But right here, we have a cube section where we get faked out by 2 upside down orbs. Then after that, we go upside down ourselves here, and then we also have to drop on an invisible block. Then in the exact same motion, you go an upside down mini ship, then you go in normal gravity, but then you have to make sure that you don't hold or you don't let go for too long, and then you're upside down again. And then it's not a straight fly either. You have to make sure that you hold, but not for too long, because then you'll die. Then it chucks us into another spam section where there are no fakes at all. We drop down for a little bit to grab the coin, and then after that, it's over. When it comes to the consistency of Clubstep, I honestly believe that this is the most consistent demon out of the 3 that ROBTOP has currently released. I understand that this is where opinion comes into the video and at the end of each level's analysis, but I think that that could be agreed upon. There's a lot of memorization, there's a fair bit of hard moments, there's numerous amounts of learning curves, and the coins aren't ideal. This level is consistently difficult. When it comes to the hardest moment of Clubstep / choke point, because this is simultaneously a choke point, it is easily 86%. I believe that this part is the most challenging and definitely one of the more challenging moments out of any ROBTOP level. New players are going to hate this adjustment of constantly having to have trigger discipline, and there's no easy sections, as previously mentioned, such as a straight fly. It's constant readjustments. I think you all would have figured this one out. The learning curves would be the UFO with the click pattern that I gave to you guys. Yeah, it's not like the definitive click pattern or whatever, but I mean, it's not that difficult of a section. It should work for everyone, but that is a learning curve. That's literally what a learning curve is. The UFO section. The coins are a bit of an interesting one. The first coin is literally the easier path in the intro of the level. The second coin would probably be the hardest in my opinion out of the 3, although it's still not that hard. You just need to consistently click and make sure that there's rhythm. That's all you need for that coin, rhythm. Now the third coin's interesting. I don't think it's an easier way, although I don't think it's a harder way either. And if you guys are wondering why I didn't include that part as a choke point, we have to separate choke points from just being really deep into the level. At the end of the level, everyone gets gets nervous, it's obviously going to be a choke point, so I tried to separate the very end to something else for the rest of these levels as well. For consistency, give me an 8 out of 10. Not the fact that this level is consistently an 8 out of 10 when it comes to difficulty. No, it's just the fact that the level is consistently difficult. There's a difference. Alright, hear me out on it, okay? Because I think that is a decent metric to use with the difficulty of ROBTOP's levels. The hardest moments, considering this is a ROBTOP level, okay, this video cannot be compared to online levels, give me an 8 out of 10. This level, when I was new, caught me way off guard, and my friends that have just started playing the game to the point where they're up to Clubstep hate this segment as well. Learning curves, although I did talk about the UFO, still give me a 5 out of 10. It is not that difficult whatsoever once you at least know what to do after, what, 2 practices? For coins, honestly, give me a 4 out of 10. That first coin drags this rating of 10 down tremendously. Yeah, the second and the third one aren't some world class, this is extreme difficulty coins, I get it, although they still would have ranked higher considering that this is a ROBTOP level we're talking about, but that first coin is pathetic difficulty wise. Give me a 4 out of 10 overall. And out of 40, this is what Clubstep is looking like. Theory of Everything 2's intro is easily the easiest from the 3 demons that ROBTOP has made. The only orb fakes have X's on them, and not only at that, they're extremely obvious to sight. This is not hidden by any decoration. This ship segment here looks way harder than it actually is, so here's some reassurance. When we slow this fully down, not only do you not die when getting the coin because there's no spikes, but look how much room there is. I mean, all that segment when you hold for the coin, there's no spikes. You're not going to die. And then when it comes to this normal gravity to the upside down ship, there's much more space than it really looks like in real time. Not a lot to say for this UFO section. In my opinion, it is very easy. See, this again, it looks difficult, this ball section, although with the fakes being extremely obvious, being literally X'd out, I don't think that you would have an issue with this after at least 1 practice run. This UFO section is a forget everything you've learned kind of situation. Once you go upside down here, you're going to continually spam even once you get past the normal gravity mini UFO section to be able to keep on gaining that momentum that you need to not get hit. Another segment just like the intro, either the fakes are way too far away for you to even justify pressing them, or they're X'd out. And then when it comes to these blocks, the ones that you're meant to jump on are flashing, similar to Clubstep with those invisible blocks. I'll be honest, this ship segment is pretty challenging. It's not necessarily challenging in what you have to do, it's how you have to do it. It's a recurring theme with ship segments just in Geometry Dash in general. The actual level is showing you how to do it, but it's not telling you how to. What I mean by that is you have to hold, but then after that you have to jitter. Not necessarily a straight fly, but more of just a readjustment period. This whole ship segment is just readjustments, and that is tricky for new players. Once again, all the fakes are X'd out, super easy. Yeah, you got a triple spike, and then you have some invisible blocks flashing, telling you where to jump and where not to. Alright, brace yourselves. I'm gonna start dropping some opinions. Guys. I think that the wave's easy. So especially when it's this open, I believe that this is actually the funnest part of the level, because in my mind, it's just some autopilot. I really like the wave. The ball section is not only fun, but it's also very easy to learn. Notice how my colors are pink and purple. Well, the blocks that I need to get onto correspond to my color choice being pink that I need to get on. This wave here is the exact same story as what I spoke about with the first wave in Theory of Everything 2. Then we get sent into a mini ship where people struggle with how long that they need to hold for. This segment is exactly like the beginning. All the fakes are X'd out and they're super easy to read. Now everyone knows this segment, it's a major choke point in Theory of Everything 2. This ship segment is visibly tight, and having to go upside down with trigger discipline and the change of how long you need to hold your clicks for, yeah, new players are going to hate this, and guess what, they already do. Not an awful lot to say for this segment. There's literally like, what, 2 to 3 clicks? I'm honestly not even going to bother slowing this down. I didn't have a single issue with this mini UFO section. Then we go into this crazy looking mini wave, which is in my opinion easy. Then we have a couple jumps and then the level is over. For the consistency in Theory of Everything 2, give me a 5 out of 10, because it feels as if every single time there is a difficult section or something that might challenge you or something that might be a choke point, you get put into a basic cube section. This is prevalent with the 68% ship, then you just get put into a cube section where you just do nothing, and then after that, the cube section following up looks like the intro. Self-explanatory. For the hardest moment, it's not close, it's also a choke point, and my opinion, I believe that it's the hardest moment out of any ROBTOP level. Once again, these cannot be compared to online levels. Give me a 10 out of 10 for the 81% ship. Give me a 10 out of 10. Give it to me, man, because I believe it is the hardest ROBTOP moment out of all of his levels. As of making this video, Explorers hasn't come out yet, therefore, it is a 10. It only makes sense. For learning curves, I think it's just mid. I think the learning curves in this level are mid difficulty. Give me a 5 out of 10. Because what I mean by that is that there's no specific click patterns. Yeah, you might have to spam with the UFO and then show trigger discipline right after, but that's just kind of to be expected within a demon difficulty. The level as a whole is much harder than the actual learning curves. For coins, give me a 6 out of 10. I'm pretty comfortable with a 6 out of 10 rating, simply because the beginning ship is uncomfortable. You can get used to it. It looks harder than it actually is, although with that said, it's still a little bit tricky. And then the second coin is no easy feat either. Being able to get that coin while at a flow state with what the wave has already presented to you is pretty tricky, although it gets dragged down immediately, considering that the third coin is so easy that it's actually the easier path. That ending bit is so easy. Now with that all said, here's Theory of Everything 2's rating with my scale out of 40. As we know, Deadlocked does not come to play. We start off with normal cubing straight into a mini wave, and then we have to get introduced as a demon to green orbs and teleport orbs. It keeps on going for literally the whole intro. Yeah, listen, you're not going to get faked out, but still, that's crazy. So this is easily one of ROBTOP's most iconic sections in any of his levels. So we start off with a jitter click, then we go up, then we have to go, and then we have to make sure that we have trigger discipline with these orbs, which make us want to press, but turns out that we can't, or else we'll die. We have a memorization ship here where we need to get a key at the top to make sure that we get the coin that we'll see further on in the level. This looks a bit action-packed, but I don't think it's that hard. The ball section may look action-packed to new players, although truth of the matter is, it's really easy. Yeah, what, you have to wait for one platform to rise up. You'll remember that after one practice. Alright, for this UFO section, shout out Eric Van Wilderman when he first completed Deadlocked. Hear me out. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's the click pattern, baby. Shout out Eric Van Wilderman. Let's get it. The difficulty of this segment really just relies on your range of clicks with the robot, getting used to do little jumps and then big jumps. I really can't help or describe why this segment is difficult or not difficult. It just depends on the player. Really not a lot to say here. It's a very sight readable section where you're just getting used to the teleports, of course, if you played ROBTOP's levels in order. So this little passageway is very easy. That's the pathway that we got when we got the key at the beginning. Then we just have some orb work, which in my opinion looks very difficult, although after one practice run, it just clicked with me back when I actually played Deadlocked. This part is not that challenging. You just have to understand how to do baby jumps as the robot pretty much. You drop down there, do a decent jump, baby jumps, and then you make sure that you click all the orbs that you are provided. There's no fakes here. I'm not going to be slowing down this segment. It's very straightforward. You just have to learn how to straight fly and use the flying that you learned in Theory of Everything 2. Not that bad. The UFO section, in my opinion, is very easy. Yeah, you might get caught off guard because this looks very chaotic, but gameplay wise, it's actually very simple. When we get up to this dual wave section, just look at the bottom wave, and then for that middle section, it's almost like spamming on blast processing. Then as we get onto the mini wave here, they give you guides. They literally give you guides on when to press and when to let go. That is very easy. It looks hard, but in my opinion, it's easy. This part here is completely memorization. There is no tips, there's no tricks, there's no advice that I could possibly give you here. For this ball section, there are no fakes when it comes to the orbs. You basically just need to get used to platforms moving despite your character just moving at the exact same speed that it would have if the platforms were just stagnant. Okay, so the UFO has two sections. At the beginning, you want to go above the second moving square and then go into the middle. Here, you want to drop through the middle and then jump above and then stick to the middle because obviously that's how you exit. Thankfully, the ending 5%, it's super easy. It's just self-explanatory, nothing hard, not even a triple spike, and then you're done. Just behind Clubstep when it comes to consistency, give me a 7 out of 10 for Deadlocked, because although I do believe believe that there are definite hard segments. It's a demon. I think that the easy sight readable ball sections or the easy to develop click patterns for UFO sections drag the rating down from a 10, not a 9, not an 8, but down to a 7. Now, although I bagged on the consistency, the hard moments on Deadlocked are hard moments, to the point where I'm actually torn on between the ship memory section and what I'm actually going to pick, the dual wave. Give me the dual wave for the hardest moment, which you could also consider a choke point, considering that this is around 70% of the level. I think that this is the hardest moment, because although you can say to just focus on one wave, and then that this segment's like blast processing and that they guide you with the buildings to use the mini wave, it's easier said than done, and that's why I think that it's the hardest moment in Deadlocked. For learning curves, give me a 6 out of 10. I believe that I'm very comfortable giving this rating off, because even though we had a UFO section where we even shouted out the GOAT Eric Van Wilderman, that section is easy to learn. There is a learning curve, but it's easy to learn, so why would I rank it high? That just makes no sense. And then when it comes to the memorization for the ship part, it just looks much more chaotic, at least in my opinion, than it is gameplay wise, because once you hit practice mode, it's a part of the game. That's why I included it in today's video. Once you hit practice mode, I think it's pretty easy. You know, you're not on edge, you're chilling out, and then you realize it just looks colorful. My eyes are getting destroyed, but gameplay wise, hey, not that bad. For the coins, I think it's a 7 out of 10. Give me a 7 out of 10, because I think that the key for the first coin is out of your way enough for me to consider it more difficult than the normal path. The second coin, it really depends on your robot skills, how your trigger discipline or your variety of clicks for the robot, because as we know, the longer you press, the higher you jump. So when it comes to that second coin, that could throw some new players off, or just players in general. And then the third coin, it's not that bad, although with what you have next and then how you enter into the UFO, it can be a bit tricky. And it's also at the beginning of the UFO, so I might add that bit as well. That can definitely throw players off. And this is Deadlock's rating out of 40, our last level. If this topic of discussion video looks familiar, it's because it is. I made a TikTok a couple months ago, I believe, discussing this, although since my rankings, my marking criteria has changed, I thought, well, why not put a full-blown video out for it? Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. By the way, let me know if you guys agree, but if you don't, still let me know. Peace.